Okay, at this point, I've tried pretty much every single lip oil available at the drugstore. There are so many affordable options. It's hard to know which one to start with, which ones to skip over. So in today's video, I wanted to share the best and the worst affordable lip oil formulas. I'll try everything on for you, do close-ups so you can see what the applicator looks like, talk about the formula, the ingredients, and hopefully this video can help steer you in the direction of something you would really enjoy or help you stay away from something that wouldn't work for you. I actually have 15 different products to talk about, so I split this video into 3 parts. I'll start with the bottom 5, the ones that I personally don't like or don't recommend for one reason or another. Maybe they just have like a big con when it comes to a certain category, but they are definitely my least favorite out of all of them. Then I'll talk about the middle 5, the ones I do really enjoy. I use a good amount. I think the formulas are nice, but they aren't necessarily my top holy grails. And then I'll finish up with my absolute favorites, the ones that I highly recommend over everything else, the ones that I think are very similar to luxury formulas at an affordable price point. Okay, so let's start with a few formulas that I personally don't recommend spending your money on. Of course, when it comes down to it, everyone has different preferences, different things they look for in formulas. So even if these aren't my personal favorite, hopefully I can share enough information that you can decide whether or not it is something that you would like. So the only formula that I don't have with me to actually try on the lips is from ColourPop. These are the Lux Lip Oils. So there are 11 different shades, although they do launch limited edition ones from time to time. Now, most of these are very, very sheer. I tried a range of colors from like a bright red to a dark brown to like a very soft nude. And for the most part, they all look very similar on the lips. Some have slightly more color than others, so I would recommend looking at swatches before buying these, just so you make sure you're not buying like repeat shades. These retail for $10. They come with 0.16 ounces. I'm actually going to include the price per ounce on the screen for you, just for reference, if that is something that's important to you, if it is a product that you use up fully. The reason I decluttered them and the reason why they're in my bottom 5 is they were just really underwhelming. I think the formula was a little bit more balmy than like a typical lip oil would be. It wasn't super glossy or shiny or really nourishing or moisturizing. It wore off super quickly. Personally, I just wasn't impressed by the formula as a whole. I will say if you don't love like a super oily lip oil and you do prefer something maybe a little bit more balmy and not overly glossy, you would enjoy this formula. But for the most part, I just would recommend skipping over it and saving your money because there are so many better options. Another formula that really is at the bottom of my list is this one from Makeup Revolution. So this is the Glaze Lip Oil. It retails for $6. You get 0.15 fluid ounces. This does come in 3 different shades. I only have one. I have Glam Pink, but for the most part, they do look pretty translucent. So I don't know that you really need to purchase multiple shades. They don't have a very strong tint. This one does have a pretty strong scent. Online, it says that it's scented with cherry seed oil. So you definitely get like a strong, almost candy-like cherry scent, but at the same time, it almost smells a little bit like a lip plumper. If you've tried like some of the stronger lip plumpers, you know how they almost have like a sharp scent to them? That's what this smells like mixed with cherries. I definitely feel like this formula is just too thin, too runny. It's almost like a watery lip oil. So once it's on the lips, it looks pretty, but it wears off in like 2 seconds. It doesn't do anything to kind of smooth out the lips or nourish them. Once the product wears off, my lips feel exactly like they did before. It doesn't dry my lips out, but it definitely doesn't moisturize them. If you're not careful when you're applying this product, because it is so runny, if you like even tip it over just a little bit, the product will completely spill out, which did happen to me. And mine does leak a little bit. Like that is a big con for me when it comes to lip oils. If it's going to leak all over my purse or my makeup bag, or if it's in my coat pocket, I can't be bothered with it because I feel like leaking lip oils make such a mess. So that's definitely something I want to point out if it is the case for other ones moving forward. So I personally don't recommend this. Again, there are just so many other better options out there. While we're on the topic of very runny, very thin lip oils, I have a few more to share with you. So I do like this formula from Profusion, but after trying so many other formulas, this one has kind of slowly moved down the bottom of my list. These are the Juicy Lip Tints. I've had these for a really long time, and I think it was one of the first lip oil formulas I ever tried. So initially, it was definitely a favorite of mine as I was kind of getting into lip oils. But again, as I've tried other formulas and my preferences have changed, this is no longer my go-to formula. These retail for for $4. They come in 3 pretty sheer shades and you get 0.15 fluid ounces. I don't think these have a noticeable scent at all, so that could be a pro for you or a con. Again, this formula is very, very thin. It's not quite as watery as the Makeup Revolution formula, but it's the type of formula that's going to add like a really nice glossy sheen and then again, wear off pretty quickly. These definitely leak, unfortunately. If you store them horizontally, the product will start to slowly leak out. I store a lot of my lip oils horizontally in my makeup collection, and I've kind of started storing them upright because I notice if I don't use them frequently, the bottle will start to leak all over the place, and that's definitely the case with these. I love the larger angled applicator. Like, this is my favorite type of applicator when it comes to a lip oil, so that is definitely a positive for me personally, and they are really affordable at $4. But again, there are definitely other formulas I like better, which is why these are at the bottom of my list. I don't think they're the worst formula out there. It's just no longer the one that I reach for the most. This formula from Hard Candy is very, very similar to the Profusion lip oil formula. I feel like I could use them interchangeably. I think the packaging is super cute. It does have a little bit of a smaller doe foot applicator, but it's the same shape as the Profusion one. It's angled, it's a little bit rounded. These are all basically clear on the lips. I really don't notice a difference when I wear different shades. So again, this is a formula where you're not going to need to purchase multiple shades. You'd be good to go with just one. It's a very thin, very light formula. I think these actually look a little bit glossier on the lips than Profusion, so I would tend to reach for this formula over Profusion if it wasn't for the very strong scent and taste. So I will say they just came out with a limited edition Girl Scouts collection, and this one does not have the same scent or taste. So if you do want to try this formula, I would recommend going with these. These are all scented to smell like different Girl Scout cookies. So the one that I have right here is coconut caramel, and it does have like a very coconutty caramel scent. It doesn't have a taste at all, which is nice, but the original formula does have a strange taste. To me, it kind of smells like grapefruit. Weirdly, I want to say like it reminds me of being at the pool. Like there's a little bit of like a cleaning supply element to it as well. And it's very, very strong. And again, it kind of tastes like that as well. So for me, that is why it is at the bottom of my list. I just can't deal with the scent or the taste. If you're not sensitive to fragrance or taste and you are looking for like a very lightweight, glossy, clear lip oil, this is a formula that I do enjoy. So I'm glad they came out with the limited edition Girl Scout ones because I've been wearing these a good amount. Again, these end up leaking on me too. Like all of the very thin, very runny formulas end up leaking quite a bit. So if that is a no-go for you, I would skip over these. Okay, last product in my bottom 5. I don't know that I would really consider this to be a drugstore brand fully, but I feel like a lot of people do kind of include Florence by Mills within the drugstore category. So I just thought I would talk about this because I have tried it. It's the Glow Yeah Tinted Lip Oil. So they actually have another lip oil in their line, but this one has like that pH adjusting factor. So it is going to supposedly customize to your best pink tone shade. This one retails for $16. It comes with 0.27 ounces. So I will say this actually looks really pretty on the lips. It definitely gives your lips like a juicy, shiny look. And again, because it has that pH tinting factor, you get a little bit of color. And I do think it is nice. Like it's very, very flattering if you want a hint of color. Once the glossy layer wears off, I feel like the tint does kind of stay behind a little bit, which is nice because the glossy layer wears off so quickly. And don't get me wrong, like we're talking about lip oils here, so they're not going to last all day. They're not going to last as long as like an actual lipstick or even a lip gloss most of the time. But if I'm applying a lip oil, I at least want like the nourishing benefits to stay once that initial layer wears off. And that's just not really the case with a lot of these products in the bottom 5, this one included. Once it wears off after a few minutes, I feel like my lips just feel kind of dry. Because this does look really pretty on the lips, like right after you apply it, it might not be a formula that you mind reapplying because it does give your lips like that beautiful, glossy, juicy look. And I do think the tint does add to that. Normally, I'm not the biggest fan of like pH adjusting lip products, but I do think this one's very flattering. Like the formula combined with that aspect make your lips look really pretty. I don't notice that there is any sort of scent to this product, but it does have a little bit of a strange taste. It's almost like kind of plasticky in my opinion. It's not terrible, like it's not bad enough that I wouldn't use the product, but it is there, it's noticeable. So overall, I like the way this looks. I just wouldn't really recommend it for the price point when there are other longer lasting, more, nourishing options that I prefer. Okay, moving on to the middle section. So these are all formulas I do really enjoy. I actually reach for a lot of these quite a bit. They're just not my top 5, my favorite holy grail formulas. There are maybe just like 1 or 2 cons that place them a little bit lower for me, but still products I recommend if they appeal to you. So let's start with this one. I will say this one was kind of like on the cusp of being in my bottom 5. So it's at like the very bottom place of my middle 5. It's from Byoma. It's a new formula. It's the Liptide Lip Oil. This retails for $11.99. You get 0.16 fluid ounces. So they have a couple of different formulas. I believe they also have a pH adjusting one, but I just tried this one. The thing that like immediately turned me off was that it started leaking so intensely after I used it one time. So I don't know if the packaging is the best. I feel like this isn't something that I'm going to bring with me anywhere because it is so messy. It's probably going to be something I keep at my vanity when I'm doing my makeup because I actually do like it to prep my lips before I go in with makeup. I do find this formula to be pretty nourishing. It has, again, like a larger applicator. It almost looks sticky, and I feel like on the lips, there's a little bit of a sticky feel to it. It's definitely a thicker formula, which is why I do think it is a little more nourishing. It doesn't last on the lips for a super long time, but once that initial layer wears off, my lips do feel really moisturized, super nourished. So I think this one does have long-lasting benefits. It does have a pretty strong fruity scent, which is really nice. It reminds me a lot of like the Milani lip oils. So if you don't love like that candy fruity scent, this probably won't be for you. It is a clear. Usually I prefer for mine to have a little bit of a tint to them, but because this does moisturize my lips really well, I have been enjoying using it in the morning before I do my makeup. That way, once like the rest of my makeup is on, I can go in with a lip product and my lips feel really soft and nourished. So I do like the formula. I don't like the packaging. I wish it came in like a few different colors. And, it definitely has some pros, but also some major cons too. Another clear lip oil that I have in my collection is this one from LA Girl. Now this does come in a couple of different shades. I've only tried this one, which is Shimmer Coconut. So I'm not sure if the other ones look a little bit different on the lips. Based on the description and the reviews, it sounds like they're all clear, but some have actual shimmer and some don't. So this retails for $5.99. It comes with 0.07 fluid ounces. I think the packaging is really nice. It feels like a higher end product. It doesn't feel like a drugstore lip product. It's plastic packaging, but it's like weighted, it's heavy. It just looks really pretty. This one has a very small applicator. It's kind of like a pointed, flat applicator, which I don't think is necessary for this type of product. When it comes to a clear lip oil, I think like a good rounded, large applicator is nice. And if it has a lot of color, I like for it to be a little bit more tapered. But this one's pretty small. It's very lightweight, very smooth. It has a really pretty glossy finish to it. It's not quite as thin as some of the ones that I mentioned in the beginning, but it is definitely a thinner formula that leaves your lips looking super glossy. It kind of feels like a lip gloss, or it feels somewhat similar to like the Covergirl, what are those called? I'm mentioning them soon. The Clean Fresh Yummy Glosses. So if you like that lightweight texture, then you might like this. This one doesn't feel quite as jelly-like on the lips. It has more of a glossy feel to it. So I do think it's nice if you do like a clear lip oil. I'm assuming they all smell a little bit different based on the descriptions. This one smells like coconut. I feel like it is the perfect summer option. Okay, so that brings us to the Covergirl Clean Fresh Yummy Glosses. I have a ton of these because there was a moment in time where I really was obsessed with these and I was wearing them nonstop. It was probably last summer or last spring, and I do still enjoy them, but again, I feel like there are other formulas I like a little bit better. These days, I'm kind of into like a thicker lip oil. If you like a thinner lip oil that looks really glossy on the lips, this might be the one that you prefer. These smell really good. They do have different scents within the line. It says online that some are berry scented, some are coconut scented, and some are pineapple scented. It doesn't differentiate, at least from what I've seen. Like if you click on one, you can't really tell which scent it's going to have, but I feel like for the most part, they're kind of similar, just like a strong, fruity, kind of tropical scent. So they have 15 different shades. There are quite a few to choose from. They all lean sheer, but they can look different on the lips depending on which shade you choose from. If you choose like a dark berry, it's going to be a little bit more vibrant than if you choose like a light, soft nude. So I'll swatch a couple of different shades I have just so you can see the variation within them and get an idea of what they look like on the lips. Some are definitely more pigmented than others, so I do recommend looking at swatches online before you buy them. Now, they market these as glosses. They really do feel like a typical lip oil formula. So, I mean, it kind of depends on who you ask. I've heard some people say that these are really sticky, which I find really interesting because I don't think they're sticky at all. I feel like they have a little bit of like a gel-like texture to them. They're kind of like a jelly lip oil gloss all wrapped into one. They're definitely thin. They have like a smooth feel to them. It's interesting because when you pull the applicator out of the tube, it does look like it's a sticky formula, but on the lips, it doesn't feel sticky to me at all. So I feel like this is one that might vary depending on everyone's definition of sticky, and maybe read through the reviews online before you buy them. I will say that these are less expensive at Target than they are at Ulta. I think that's the case with the Milani lip oils too, so just something I wanted to point out. But you can typically find these on sale during like a big Ulta sale when they do like their fall haul event, or they do just like a random drugstore sale. So that's when I would recommend grabbing them because they're pretty pricey. I think they're like $11.99 each. And again, I feel like these kind of like toe the line between being a gloss and a lip oil, but I personally would describe them as like a typical lip oil feel, just a little bit more jelly-like. So let me know your thoughts on these because I feel like for a lot of people, they have mixed opinions on these. Like some people love them, some people hate them. I do enjoy them, but these days I do prefer a little bit of a thicker formula. Okay, next I want to talk about the e.l.f. Glow Reviver Lip Oils. I'm actually going to put a little bit of this one on because my current lip oil is wearing off. This one is in the shade Honey Talks. Okay, so these retail for $8 each. They come with 0.25 fluid ounces. There are 7 different shades. 3 are basically clear, just looking at the swatches. There's like a clear, pink quartz, and coral fixation. And then the other 4 have a little bit more color. Honey Talks is one of my favorite shades. I will pair this with like a nude lip liner or a nude lipstick just to add like a really pretty glossy shine on top. And as you can see, these are very glossy, very smooth. I do like the texture of these. I think they're a little bit thicker than some of the super thin formulas I mentioned earlier, but not quite as thick as a few that I'm still going to mention in today's video. So if you like a good in-between, this is nice. It's not super long lasting, but it also doesn't wear off quite as quickly as some other formulas I've tried. I feel like it's a good formula that kind of falls in the middle of all of the lip oil aspects you could think of. They are comfortable, very pretty on the lips. Like I love the way they look. I definitely think they have a gorgeous glossy sheen to them. So this is a formula that I personally really enjoy. I just don't necessarily reach for it as much as I do a few other formulas, and I can't really pinpoint exactly why. I will say I feel like the scent has a part in that. These have a very strong minty scent, which I don't love minty scented lip products. I like vanilla, I like fruity scented lip products, but mint really isn't my personal favorite. And I don't know why. I feel like that is a reason why I don't use these as much as I would like to. It's not a bad scent by any means. It's just not the one that I would probably go for if I was choosing between different options. But when it comes down to it, these are really nice. They're juicy, glossy, smooth. They feel good. They look pretty. I wouldn't consider them ultra nourishing or, you know, super long lasting, but they're great if you want to throw something on and get a really pretty glossy finish. I actually want to talk about these 2 lip oil formulas from Essence together. Originally, I had one in my middle 5 and then one in my top 5, but as I was using them a little bit more, I was like, is this the exact same formula? And it is, but because they are scented differently and they have different applicators and, you know, different amounts of color in them, I feel like it is a little bit of a different experience using them. So in my middle 5, I originally had the Essence Juicy Bomb Lip Oils, which are a brand new launch. At least here in the US, I think they might have launched in different countries earlier than this. And then I also have the Essence Hydra Kiss Lip Oils, which are a little bit newer, but they've been out for probably like a month or 2 at this point. So let's start with the Juicy Bomb Lip Oils. I originally had these in my middle 5, but I feel like they were kind of climbing because I have been enjoying them. They have a couple of different options. They're available on Ulta's website right now for $1.99 each. These come with a very small amount of product at 0.08 fluid ounces, but they're very, very inexpensive. And when you break it down price per ounce, they are comparable with some that are a little bit more expensive. These do claim to have a plumping effect. I don't think they really do plump up the lips at all, but I feel like there's a slight tingle. Like it's very, very subtle. It's not something you're really going to notice unless you're looking for it, but that is something I want to point out. I do think these have a little bit of a sticky texture to them, which is interesting because with the Hydra Kiss lip oils, I wouldn't really describe them as sticky, but now that I have like one of the e.l.f. Glow Reviver lip oils on my lips, and I've been using a lot of these over the last few days to kind of refresh my memory about the formulas, I do think that these are thicker and slightly sticky compared to other formulas that I've tried. But they definitely last longer on the lips. They feel really nourishing. And once they wear off, my lips feel super moisturized for hours. So I feel like these have longer lasting benefits compared to other formulas, but they do feel a little bit thicker and slightly tacky, which I've come to realize I don't mind when it comes to a lip oil. If you love like a super thin glossy lip oil like the e.l.f., I would skip over these because they might be a little bit too thick to you. But I've been enjoying these little tiny Juicy Bomb lip glosses. They're small, you get a small amount of product, but they're only $1.99. So realistically, if you purchased 2 of these, they're pretty similar in price to one of these and you get slightly more product. So that leads me to the Hydra Kiss lip oil formula. I've talked about these a lot on my channel already. These are $4.99 each and they come with 0.13 fluid ounces. There are 3 different shades. I have all 3 of them. They look slightly different on the lips. There's like a clear one, there's one that has a hint of orange, and then one that has a hint of pink. So I do prefer the applicator on this compared to the Juicy Bomb applicator. I don't know if I mentioned, the Juicy Bomb applicator is super tiny. This is the smallest applicator out of everything I'm talking about in today's video, and I just don't love a super tiny applicator when it comes to a lip oil because it feels like you have to dip back in so many times to get the amount of product you want on your lips. Whereas when you're using something like this, it's such a faster application because you have a larger applicator. And this has a little bit of like a dip in it, so I feel like it applies the perfect amount of product every single time. So I prefer this type of packaging, but again, the formulas are the exact same. When you look at the ingredient breakdown, they are identical in the same exact order. The only thing that changes is like the pigment and the scent that they use. Now, that might be something to kind of convince you one way or another because these have a citrus or fruity scent. I think it does depend on which one you get because there is a mint one as well. A lot of people have complained that the Hydra Kiss lip oils have like a very strong, unpleasant scent. I said this before, but I feel like this scent almost varies a little bit between the 3. But overall, I kind of get like a vanilla scent with like a touch of floral to it. A lot of people have said they really smell the floral or they kind of smell rose. So I do think if you are really sensitive to fragrance, this probably won't be the one for you because if you go on Ulta's website, it has a lot of bad reviews and most of them are pertaining to the fragrance, not the actual formula. Anyway, all of that to say, I personally didn't realize the formulas were identical until I tried them, just different packaging and a different scent. So the Essence Hydra Kiss lip oils are definitely part of my top 5, and the top 5 aren't really in any specific order because I like them all for different reasons. But that being said, I feel like this next one is at like the top of my list right now. It's from Catrice, and I do think the formula is somewhat similar to the Juicy Bomb or the Hydra Kiss lip oil. Essence and Catrice are sister brands, so sometimes I do feel like some of their launches do feel pretty close. These are the Glossin Glow Tinted Lip Oils. So these come in 5 different shades. They retail for $6 each. Every time I use these, I honestly can't believe that these are only $6 because to me, they do feel like a luxury formula. I don't think they say on the packaging, oh, here it is, 0.13 fluid ounces. So these are described as like pH changing lip products, but I do find that only some of the shades actually end up adjusting on your lips. The light pink, the dark pink, and then also the red, which I can't find my red one. If you aren't a fan of like that pH tint, which always ends up looking pretty pink on me, and I know most people as well, then I would recommend the yellow one or the orange one. These really don't tint the lips like the other ones do. So even though they say they do on the description online, I don't find that to be the case. They just have more of like a clear wash of color. I'll try these on the lips so you can see too. Again, definitely a thicker, more luxurious, nourishing formula. And that comes down to personal preference. That is my favorite, which is why I personally ranked these higher and put them in my top 5. It does have a little bit of a larger applicator. It's kind of pointed, which I feel like does come in handy with the shades that end up adjusting on your lips. And I will say these are almost like glossy lip stains, not necessarily the light pink, but definitely the darker pink and the red. The tint in in these products is so strong that after that glossy layer wears off, your lips are almost stained all day long. So these will be like the last ones I swatch on my lips because for the rest of the day, I'll have like that pink tint left behind. So that's something to note. That might be a pro for you or a major con. If you aren't a fan of having like stained lips from a lip oil, I would definitely avoid like the two most colorful shades from this line. But if you are a fan of like a glossy stain and you want something that actually moisturizes the lips so well, this is a great option and it's only $6. These do have a little bit of like a light fruity scent. It's not super noticeable. In fact, I can't smell it once it's on the lips. Again, I will say some people might find these to be kind of sticky because they do feel very similar to those Essence glosses. So if you're not a fan of like a slightly thicker, maybe kind of tacky formula, I would skip over these as well. But it is personally for me like one of my favorite formulas right now. Switching gears to a formula that I think is quite a bit different than the one that I just mentioned. This is from Milani. It's their Fruit Fetish Lip Oil. So these have been around for a while. Again, this is a formula that I kind of fell in love with when I was just trying out lip oils for the first time. And I still enjoy these so much. These are very lightweight on the lips, but they almost have a little bit of like a gel type texture to them. These have a very strong scent. I can smell this one. Like I'm just sitting here with the bottle open and it's like, it's intense. It's a very nice kind of candy-like fruity scent. They do vary a little bit depending on which one you choose. Like this one is Cocoa Cacao, which has like a little bit of a chocolatey scent, but because most of them are described in like a fruity way. Like I have strawberry melon, I have lychee nectar, raspberry peach. They do kind of all fall into like that fruity category. I actually have all of them. They also just launched a Luminoso one, which I cannot wait to get. I'm wearing the Luminoso blush today, just like a very small amount of it. I ordered mine from Walmart. I think it's been spotted in some Walmart stores, but I don't know if it's available anywhere else yet. So I'll link it below if you want to check it out. Part of me thinks like this is really the ideal lip formula because it is lightweight, it has a hint of color, it feels good, it's smooth, it's glossy. It's not the longest lasting formula, but I do feel like my lips feel really good once it wears off, and they have a bunch of colors to choose from. I like that these are they actually show up on the lips. They are sheer because they're lip oils, but you do get a different look depending on which one you buy. So that is really nice because I do feel like a lot of lip oils end up looking so similar or they're all kind of clear. When I want color, but I still want a lip oil formula, this is what I'll reach for. I don't find that all of mine have leaked on me, but some of them do end up leaking just a little bit, not quite as badly as other formulas I've tried. And I feel like if I tighten them enough, I don't experience a lot of leaking, but it has happened with one or two of them. So just something I want to point out. But again, because they do look different on the lips, I would purchase these based on swatches because, you know, even though some of them are kind of close, there are differences between a lot of them. So if you like something a little bit brighter or a little bit deeper, a little bit more cool toned, there probably will be a shade that works well for you. And I just love them. I have every single shade because I do reach for these quite a bit. They're one of the formulas that I bring with me when I'm on the go because they're just easy to apply. They smell good. They wear well. Another longtime favorite of mine is the Ulta Beauty Juice Infused Lip Oil. There are a couple of different options. They have 5 sheer shades. I personally feel like they look pretty similar for the most part with just like a slight hint of color. They retail for $10 each and they come with 0.15 fluid ounces. The scent is going to vary depending on which one you get. So I would more so pick them based on the scent because if you can't stand like an apple scent, you won't want the cranberry apple one. At least that's what I think it is. I think these are very nourishing on the lips, like probably one, if not the most nourishing formula I have. It has like this oily texture to it, but it's thick. It's luxurious. It hugs the lips so nicely. It's really plush and kind of cushiony, but it's not sticky. And again, I have heard some people describe these as sticky, but I definitely don't find these to be sticky at all, at least in my personal opinion. They kind of have like a thicker, glossy texture, but you can tell they're not like your typical lip gloss formula. There's something like extra good about them, extra nourishing about them. So I really enjoy these. I wouldn't say they're a hidden gem. I feel like the Ulta Beauty brand as a whole tends to kind of be like an underrated brand, but I feel like a lot of people have talked about these and they really are worth the hype. Okay, the last one that I want to talk about in today's video is the NYX Fat Oil Lip Drip. So I don't know if I included these last time. To me, these almost feel more like a lip gloss, but they are marketed as a lip oil. And I've heard some people say they are somewhat similar to the Dior lip oil. I haven't tried that one. I know that had its big moment. I don't know if I would still consider it to be like a current viral product, but for a while it was everyone's favorite. So because I haven't tried that, I can't say which drugstore formula most resembles that. But if you have an opinion, let us know in the comments below, because that is an expensive lip oil. And because there are so many options at the drugstore, I feel like one of them has to come close. Anyway, these retail for $9 each. They come with 0.16 fluid ounces, and there are 8 different shades. These do look different on the lips. I feel like these have the most pigment out of all of the ones I'm mentioning. I feel like Milani has some pigmented ones, but these can be built up to look more intense on the lips. The lip swatches online look a little bit more intense than they actually appear in real life. If you apply a light layer, you can get more of a sheer look. But like with the deeper one, if you really build it up, it can look pretty intense. It's just going to be a lot of product on the lips. I do find these to be sticky. I feel like they're the stickiest lip oils that I personally have. So that's why, in my opinion, they feel more like a lip gloss. Like when you pull it out, it looks stringy, which doesn't look super appealing, but on the lips, it is so flattering. It has this amazing, smooth, wet looking glossy finish, which is why I personally would describe them more so as like an actual lip gloss. And they are pretty long lasting. Definitely moisturizing, really smoothing, super shiny, very, very comfortable. And there's just something about these, like they really transform the way your lips look. Like they just kind of do it all. Like every single box is checked with this product, in my personal opinion. So I'm a big fan of these. I wish they had more shades to choose from. Last thing, these do have like a candy-like fruity scent to them. I do find it really pleasant, but it is pretty strong and noticeable. So just something I wanted to point out. Okay, that's everything I have to talk about in today's video. All of the drugstore lip oils I've tried, the ones I enjoy, the ones I don't. I hope today's video was helpful if you were thinking about trying any of these out. Hopefully it kind of made things a little bit easier to break down. I know there were a ton of products I talked about, but let us know in the comment section below what your favorite lip oils are, which ones you enjoy, like your number one go-to top favorite. Let me know. And if I missed any, let me know too, because I guess there is a chance there probably are some that I personally haven't tried or heard of. So feel free to share them in the comments below, and I'll see you very soon with a new video. Bye.